I am a huge introvert, and I'm about to become a travel advisor. So you got to help me out here. Am I crazy or am I brilliant? In this video, we're going to take a look at what being a travel advisor actually means, but then we're going to apply an introvert lens. So what are the good things? What are the pros about the role of a travel advisor that works for introverts? And then what are some of the challenges that introverts might face being in that role? And then at the end, you can tell me if I'm brilliant or if I'm crazy. First, let's take a look at what it means to be a travel advisor and what it takes to get into that line of work. And in fact, there's very little that it takes to become a travel advisor, travel agent. The terms vary across different sources, so I'm just going to use travel advisor here today. But there's a very, very low barrier to entry to being a travel advisor. That does not mean that you don't require certain knowledge and skill sets and aptitudes, I would say, to do the work. So there's no educational requirement, there's no experience requirement, but you do need to have the skills required. So that would include planning, organizing, negotiating, communication, and interpersonal skills. Stay with me, stay with me. So you need to be able to do that to be effective and successful as a travel advisor, but you don't need any credentials or anything to get into it. You do need a little bit of money because typically how people come into the industry is to sign up with a host agency, and that usually requires some money. And through that, you gain access to all of their platforms and resources and training and et cetera. In terms of the type of work, you can work as much or as little. You can be a part-time travel advisor, you can be a full-time travel advisor, you can build a business, build an empire if you want to, or you can just gain a little extra money to supplement your income, your pensions, whatever it is. So that really is completely up to you. Travel advisory work is something that you can do at home. Most people do, and that is one thing that attracts a lot of people to travel advisory work, is that they can do that at home. And if they have families at home or just don't want to go out and socialize with people in an office setting, it appeals to them very much. There are opportunities as well to work in storefront travel companies. So that, of course, would be a little bit different, but you don't have to. You can be a completely successful travel advisor without doing any storefront representation or sales. The job responsibilities of a travel advisor are pretty much what you would probably think. So you're a seller of travel, so you need to do a lot of research on understanding what travel options are available, all of the different suppliers, all of the different ways they sell and package travel. Even within singular travel industries, say cruise lines, there's so many different cruise lines to learn about, and all their different programs and nuances, and because they're all so different. And then multiply that across different types of travel. So there's a lot of researching and understanding and knowledge building that's required. And then you translate that to your clients or your customers, right? So you need to spend time with them to understand what they're looking for, what kind of travel. And then there's the technical parts of it, actually going into the platforms and booking the travel and negotiating where you need to, and managing and coordinating all of the activities and the payments and all of that. And depending on what services you offer within your travel advisory, then there would also be a fair bit of problem solving and responding to issues as they come up. But with really good planning, you mitigate a lot of those issues. So there are ways to manage your travel advisory practice so that you are spending your time where you thrive. Now let's apply that introvert lens, because that's our purpose here. Is this a good job for an introvert? Being an introverted travel advisor works really well because, first of all, it's one-on-one work, right? So you might have a couple or a family that you're working with, but it's one-on-one. And that's where we thrive. It allows for that meaningful connection. We're not trying to manage the discussions and relationships with multiple people at the same time. So there's definitely an advantage there. It allows us that concentrated time and that focus that gets into depth that is important to us and is where we apply many of our strengths. Travel advisory work also requires depth. I mentioned before about the researching, like give us a topic and give us a quiet environment, a distraction-free, or whatever environment makes us happy and productive, then that's where we can go and we can thrive at the deep dig and understand, like I was saying, all the different options and kind of putting those together in a package to present to our clients. So it allows for the deep dive in the work, but also to develop the deeper relationships with our clients. As I mentioned, we can work remotely, and that is a huge win for so many introverts. I can't tell you how many times I have seen introverts in different forums ask, first of all, what is the best job for an introvert, but also, are there any work from home jobs that people are aware of? Because that is our it's not just comfort, it's not a comfort, it's where we can truly demonstrate our strengths and truly live into the skills that we have and the way of working. So I'm a big fan of working from home, and that definitely is one of the things that attracts me to it as well. The other thing is that you can work very independently as a travel advisor. You don't have to. So again, it depends on how you want to work. You can work in storefronts in some areas and in some cases, but generally, many travel advisors are independent consultants, meaning they might associate or be affiliated with a travel host agency, they're called, that they would buy into, as I mentioned before, but generally work on their own. So that, I guess, has pros and cons, because it does mean you're developing your own business, so that there's a whole other side of the work required there. But you can work independently and have a network available to you if and when you need it. Well, when you need it, because you're definitely going to need it, especially starting out. That's been my experience. The other thing I would highlight as a pro for introverts being travel advisors is that opportunity to develop the relationship with the client. So when I think about what kind of travel advisory business I would like to have, I'm not a booking engine. There are plenty of online booking engines that are available to people. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a partnership with the people that I serve in understanding what kind of travel do they like, what's important to them. When they go to a place, what are the types of things that they tend to do? How do they want to balance out their activities? Just different things. And so that can only happen well when you get to know the person you're serving. So I'm looking to be a partner in travel with people. So it allows for that. Again, that leans into our strength for those one-on-one connections and those small group interactions. So those are some of the pros that I would identify as being a travel advisor for introverts. Lots of opportunity to lean into our strengths. But of course, it can't all be good. That would be pretty hard to find. But if you have found it, please let me know. As I was saying about, it's sales. So as introverts, we don't always, not exclusively, but we don't always do a very good job at the self-promotion, because we tend not to like the attention. If you are especially an independent business provider or service provider, you have to promote yourself, not only to get the business, but to keep the business and to kind of sell yourself as to why someone would want to partner with you to plan their travel versus someone else. So that's an area where it might be a bit of a challenge and take a bit more of that energy that we so carefully manage and protect for ourselves. The other part is, of course, it is a service industry. We are working with people, so there's no getting around that. You can do corporate travel, but that's something a little bit different than what I'm referring to. So there's no getting away from people. But this industry, and working especially as an independent consultant in travel, you can shape your business however you want. So for example, I have no intention of putting a phone number anywhere on my contact information. That is not where I do well. I really hate the telephone. So I do really well on video calls and of course written communication, emails generally, and texting maybe once a relationship is established. So you can build it however you want, and that's a really great opportunity for introverts in this industry because you can build it however you want that's going to work for you. Now, I'm going to be honest. One of the areas that I am not looking forward to, but I know will be an absolute requirement, is the time on the phone with suppliers. So I know this is going to be a requirement of the job in order to get your client what they need. I will be keen to see how that works out. I'm kind of feeling like that's that's me making a call to them versus kind of receiving cold calls, right? I definitely want to avoid receiving cold calls. But if I have a specific focus and purpose to the call and I need someone's help, then I believe that that is going to be sufficient. Like I will value that more than I value not talking on the phone, which I value quite a bit. But it is a requirement of the job to work with a wide range of suppliers and people. And that means, yes, I am going to have to pick up the phone and talk to them. And that's okay. So we'll see how that goes, and I will report back on that and how that goes. But I just want to flag that for me personally, many, many, many introverts hate talking on the phone. Um, and for me personally, that is a big thing. So we'll see. One of the areas that we might be challenged by, I might be challenged by as an introvert, is that travel comes with surprises, which means that if we have clients who are traveling and they ran into trouble, they are probably going to look for us for some support. And that's fine. That is part of the job. Again, you can shape how you do your business, but it's going to be difficult to avoid that. So that means if things come up, you need to act quickly. There's not a lot of time to overthink, which I guess is a good thing, but to process. We tend to be processors, right? And take time in our problem solving, and we definitely get there, but sometimes it takes a little bit of a different route for us to get to the solution. So for me personally, coming into this industry, like I do great problem solving in the other work that I do, my regular 9 to 5. But in this industry, it's going to be new for me. So until I build that repertoire of knowledge and understanding, it will take me a little bit more time for that problem solving. So we'll see how that goes. I think that'll be one area I'll be looking to see what the impact of that is and what the demand, again, that energy demand is going to be, because you need to be available and you need to be responsive. And the other part that I'm not sure how I'm going to manage it, if I'm going to manage it, because again, we can shape it however we want. That's a luxury in this industry, is the networking component, which is different than sales. Sales, I'm pretty confident I can do. Networking, I can do that as well, but I hate it and it's exhausting. It's exhausting. So typically is not where I choose to spend my precious energy. So, but I think as a new advisor and getting into the industry, that's going to be a requirement. So I haven't quite gotten there. I'm still, pulling together the foundational pieces of my travel advisory business. But I do know that networking will be a bit of a challenge for me. So again, as introverts, that's part of the job that might be a bit of a challenge. So there we have it. Those are some of the pros and cons. Tell me, what have I missed? I would love to hear from any current travel advisors who are also introverts. And am I on point? Did I miss stuff? Have I overstated some of the challenges or some of the pros? I'd be really interested to hear. If at this point in my journey, and I certainly intend to share more of my journey with you as I go, but at this point of my journey, we'll see if I'm being naive, I would rate travel advisor job as introvert friendly on a scale of 5. I would say it's a 4. But ask me again in a few months or 6 months down the road, and I might have a different answer. And I will definitely share that with you. So thank you very much for watching. My name is Barb, and I apply an introvert lens in work, travel, and everyday experiences so we can all make good decisions that support our energy. Thank you.